Test, test. Okay, hi everybody. Good morning. Good afternoon. Today we're setting up Avenue to Learn. Welcome everybody to today's episode of Music in Megabytes, which will correctly be called Music in Megabytes. Hi. When things happen and you pass people in the shelter who carry drugs on them that you happen to black out on, you do, by the way. That's how it works. It's like having peanuts, just so you all know, next to someone with a peanut allergy, which you are not allowed to do. That person will walk away from you. They will walk away from you. It's okay. I smoke marijuana. I smoke marijuana probably like your friends are at bongs and pass engineering just barely, but you know what? That's why these get degrees, besties, and that's why we don't let certain people into the nuclear reactor. If you can't see, my hands are passed differently than my arms. They legally are. Legally, your hands are lighter than your arms. Legally, your hands and face will probably be lighter than your arms because of a level of typed exposure at this point. I'm going to guess radiation. I will personally guess radiation. The Nazis were super scientists, girl. The Nazis were super scientists. Melanin is not leaving an eye rate the way you think it is. Melanin is, however, dissipating from skin quite quickly within the Middle East. There is a significant amount of light trait from an area in Japan. Which could easily be a whitewash rate, by the way. I'm not, like, concerned that that's just mid-grade colonization. And then you all in colonial Canada want to acknowledge this Métis rate. I'm here to tell you that we also have that Métis rate, and it is just above, like, Albania in Europe. It's through France and then Ireland. And then the British properties, the UK, Brexit, they're their own little white territory. And then Sweden and Denmark and Finland and Ukraine and some areas of Poland have the same white pass rate. That would be the white pass rate that you would all call Cree Indigenous here on colonial Canadian territory. And if you know, you know. Hi, this is being recorded from the Vancouver Public Library. This podcast is sadly my continued thesis. Colonization is real. Ethnic racism is real. And if you are going to insinuate that you as an Anishinaabe girl are browner than me from an area lower, and closer to the colonial equator than you are incorrect. My ethnicity and the root of my ethnicity will be located no matter what in an equator line lower than Treaty 6. If you have tanner skin than me and lighter eyes, that is when you are capable of being colorist. If you spray tan incorrectly, this is when the conversation around colorism comes in, because no matter what, you will be welcomed back into the room because of your blue eyes. Thank you for your 4 minutes of attention. We will turn it on to Spotify, where I will hit shuffle and I will remind you of the ethnic rate of the artist, why they are likely making the music they are making, and why I probably enjoy it more than you think I do. Thank you. Oh, 1 second. Did I connect the speaker? In the headphones, and this is what happens when you teach class. And when we learn that Carrie Underwood may or may not be brown, she has green eyes. Carrie Underwood would legally probably look like Xana out of drag if Xana had long blonde hair and wore natural girl clean level TM beach. If you want me to use that kind of slang, I know it pretty quickly actually. I don't have to say she looks like Xana with a natural TM beat. But the issue is you should understand that this, I'm gonna say it, because trusting that Carrie Underwood is blacker than me would be colorism. I understand if this upsets you as a green-eyed person, you are more than welcome to leave this lecture for a moment, and you are more than welcome to come back into this class about racism when you are ready to discuss it. That being said, I do not think you'll be passing class until you can tolerate this conversation on racism, blue eyes, comorbidity on brown black cultures, um, and where the Bluetooth button is. No, it's supposed to connect. Let's go, bestie. There we go. Let's see what I can sing again. This is how you learn how to good for you. You better get your getting on your good shoes. Okay, we're at 9 minutes. If this is the 20 minutes where we listen to mixed rated black music and we stand up from our desks and we move our bodies. What did we learn about Carrie Underwood today? We learned that Carrie Underwood has green eyes, which means she is probably mixed like Xana. She's probably indigenous. Hey, Carrie Underwood. I hope you're doing good. Um, yeah. What do we know about indigenous instruments? We know that they sound tinnier usually, or they sound more based in a culture praxis that isn't stringy like this. Let's sit down, let's chill, and understand that this is a big difference, okay? Are we ready for this big difference, class? This is how you talk to the kids. You say, "Are you ready for this big difference? Because I am gonna play for you something that you're not gonna expect, and it's gonna be Pop with the Violin," if I can find it. Do we know what Okay, sorry, I had to figure out what the band name was. This is what happens when you run class on fly. Okay, are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready for this? VSQ performs K-pop Demon Hunters. Play the violin, I care, girls. I really do. Yeah, yeah, different. If you know, in 2014, a show was aired. The show was a teenage show. So if you watch it on YouTube, it included a bunch of modern pop songs, violin tracks. At that point, there was a large group of individuals who were I was not one of them. I went to a grade school where we were not given the opportunity to play an instrument that was expensive. It was not provided to the entire class at a rate of under $5. We did not have it in the classroom. This was a Catholic school where I was not taught how to play a colonial instrument in an orchestra. When I entered high school, I was not allowed to take music class because I knew how to play the drums. What do we think that racism is? A lot of my white friends played white instruments. My sister picked up the saxophone and was reprimanded for how loud it was in the house. If you have a class that's smart enough, they'll shout back, "That's called racism, Miss Carly." And I'll say, "Yeah, it is called racism, girl. She's gonna teach me how to play the cello." Because apparently I can't say this to kids. I can't make money without a cello apparently right now, girls. Like gays, theys, children in the classroom, my boys, my crew. Apparently, I am No, that's not how it works. Girls, there's also a difference between the instruments being stolen and the instruments not being distributed. When the white classroom gets the orchestra code instruments, that is a very big jump. That is a very, very, very big jump. And at 18 minutes, I believe that concludes our lecture and lesson for today. Thank you so much for stopping by Jazz Bar in NYC with me, Carly Mizrahi Hart, and probably one of my favorite artists of all time, Ella Fitzgerald. There is a beautiful painting of Ella Fitzgerald hiding in the crux of the Davy Street Jim Diva Plaza window, right outside the community building. Ella Fitzgerald is a Black woman. Ella Fitzgerald is a jazz artist, and if Ella Fitzgerald has had her skin bleached, she would look like me. She would probably have a slightly flatter nose, but if she had her skin bleached, she would look like me. Her eyes would not bleach, nor would her hair pattern potentially, but it would be able to be legally straightened. This is how colonization works. When you encourage the girls who are brown past to cut their culture features, you create lateral violence. As a U16 classroom, that is a hard sentence to hear sometimes, and it absolutely shouldn't be. And as a U16 over classroom, you absolutely should be able to discuss this with a student. When an individual who is green eyed starts making fun of race tone, and the brown girl from the back goes, "Yo, bitch, you know that reverse racism isn't real, baby angel. Green eyes, sit down." That is how it works. Please feel free to donate wherever you can today. Please make sure that your local community is fed. Please make sure there isn't expired food in your local shelter, actually. When you are doing a crusading for cans at Assumption, just know that I support you crusading for those cans. I do. I also did it in my first year. at Assumption. That was my volunteer hours. I used to paint gloves for the studio and props for the studio as volunteer hours. I was a specialist high skills major at Nelson High School, and if you find my legal name on the plaque, hi, it's there, it's Kayla. Um, I would say this, by the way, in this room to the Umpati Pathat wall. I am the blackest one on that Umpati Pathat wall, and I was. There are other racialized individuals in your classroom. Please stop disrespecting them. If Nelson High School is saying that the land acknowledgement is that it is a white man's land school, it is. So be aware of it if you're going in Indigenous, actually. And know that Central is probably the Indigenous school, and so is Tecumseh. If we're rewriting it, we absolutely are. Thank you. And to the Indigenous communities who have been protecting brown Jews, thank you. Brown Jews. That's not brown Christians. That's not brown Palestinians. That's brown Jews as well, considering World War II is real. McCarthyism and the global idea of carding starts and stops with us, sadly, because the second I potentially marry someone white, my child's eyes become Aryan. I'm not necessarily mad about it, but I don't wanna de-race my kids, so thank you. They will, no matter what, have one brown past light-skinned parent and will benefit immensely from the ideas of colorism if they come out with blue eyes. That is how genetics work. That is a conversation about familial structure. And thank you so much for supporting me if you do. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast, to this video, to this audio recording. You probably need to play them doubled. Double doubled. Sorry, girls. Double doubled if you want the proper audio. The microphone doesn't really work on YouTube, and I'm aware of it. But if you figure that out, you figured that out. There is a way to, like, clause in the timing of this, and it will be my singing, so if you can clause in the start, I think it was, like, around 15 seconds, you'll be able to hit both at the same time, and if you're smart enough to add the audio back in, you absolutely are. Thanks, everybody. Please feel free to head over to linktree.carly link linktr.ee/Carly Hearts iPod. That's Carly like claws, heart like Roxy, breaker like a switch on Instagram, and KarlieHartsIPod. Yeah, there's a lot of links there. There's a lot of classroom resources there. A lot of these are gender critical race theory, sorry, gender and critical race theory. Gender and critical race theory. If you say it's gender critical race theory, be careful. You're gonna end up in the wrong group by accident. I said I was doing gender and crit race theory, and then someone assumed I was doing gender crit race theory, and I said, no, no, actually, you've deluded yourself into thinking that that sentence is a sentence because I said to you, brown race is brown race. If we were to kill a mockingbird, everyone on three, who is the villain of this book? 1, 2, 3, it's Mayella. It's Mayella. I read Mice and Men in 8th grade. I read To Kill a Mockingbird in ninth. I read Macbeth in 8th grade. In grade 11, I read Funny Boy by Shyam Savadori. I read Let's Get Lost by Adi Said. We studied Heath Ledger's Suicide after A Knight's Tale and The Joker. I personally did. I aced triology on base level because not everyone needs to be a neurosurgeon, and there are still people who say, is the surgery necessary right here, right now? If the answer is no, you do need to help that individual. At 24 minutes, that'll be the wrap up of our class. If you would like to donate to a native European beading company, which would be native and European, that is not the semi-indigenous rate that you all want to call indigenous. Thank you very much. Elsa's not race like that. She's race mixed. Oh my god, maybe this is the rewrite. Maybe this is the colonial Aryan rewrite, girls. Thank you so much. Take care. Have a great rest of your day. And fund all local brown artists. End of sentence. What should we play on the way out? More Ella?